Good morning. My name is Ed Zappen. I'm instructing a class at the Marc School of Woodworking on the reproduction of Thomas Jefferson's writing box. It's a writing box. Writing boxes were very common in the 18th century. I call it an 18th century laptop. These things were carried around by businessmen, lawyers, people like that as they were going around their daily business. If you Google writing boxes, you'll find tons of them. You go out to the East Coast, they're all over the antique shows. But this one's unique. It's a one-off. It was made by Benjamin Randolph, a cabinet maker from Philadelphia that Jefferson lived with for the summer of 1775 when he was a member of the first meeting of the Second Continental Congress. So the writing box, it's a simple little box. It has a drawer that will hold let's see here, hold a little inkwell on this side. This side would probably hold pounce, which was a powder to put over the paper. You could put your knives and things in there. This one holds quills and stuff maybe, and then all your materials and stuff are here. I gave one to Mr. Jefferson at Monticello. He rose from the dead and came to visit Monticello, and so I gave him another one of these because his original one is on display at the National Museum of American History. The box has a surface like this, and you can put something on here to read from it. Okay, but before you even do that, then you can open it up like this and use it for writing. And this is a sample right here of Jefferson's first page of his draft of the Declaration of Independence. Okay, when Congress was talking about independence, they thought they should have a declaration. There was Richard Lee had made a motion for independence. They tabled it for a while because Congress was busy fighting a war. But on July 2nd, they took up Lee's motion for independence and they passed it. So technically speaking, our day of independence is July 2nd, but we celebrate the other one because then they took up Jefferson's declaration and passed it on July 4th. They took his 4-page draft, knocked off about 83% of it. They made 83 changes. The biggest change was Jefferson's condemnation of the slave trade coming from England. Sure, he's a slave owner, but he condemned the slave trade. And that's what they took out of it. So then it got passed. So he eventually gave the desk to his granddaughter. That was in November of 1825. She had married a man named Joseph Coolidge from the Coolidge family in Boston. And along with it, he put on what I call a Jefferson affidavit attesting to the provenance of the desk. And he says, he writes in the third person, Thomas Jefferson gives this writing box to Joseph Coolidge as a memorial of affection. It was made from a drawing of his own by Benjamin Randall, a cabinet maker with whom he first lodged in that city in May of 1776. And then he goes on to say, and I love this is classic Jefferson, politics as well as religion has its superstitions. These, gaining strength with time, may someday give imaginary value for its association with the great charter of our independence. And that was dated November 18th of 1825. That desk remained with the Coolidge family until Ellen and Joseph died. And in accordance with the parents' wishes, the children gave it to a family friend named Robert Winthrop, who took it to, was the president at the time. Anyway, gave it to the president, who gave it to Congress. And in 1880, the Congress accepted this as what they were calling a gift to the nation. Obviously, the congressmen made all kinds of patriotic speeches and stuff, but that was it. This desk eventually wound up in 1964 at the National Museum of American History, where it has lodged ever since, with a few exceptions. In 1976, this desk was taken to Monticello under guard, where it was displayed for a couple of days of the 200th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Again, the box came off of display for about a week or so in 2007 and again in 2008 while the museum was closed. It was in those two periods that I had the privilege of seeing the desk in person, taking very careful measurements and photographs of the desk in that 1 week period. I don't think anyone else has ever had that privilege, at least according to Harry Rubenstein, the curator who is so generous with his time and effort to let me do this desk. That was 15 years ago. I've spent the last 15 years making some desks, some better, some not. I have one now in the National Museum of American History, which travels to other museums when they want a representation. I have one at Monticello that I showed you when Jefferson came back from the dead, and I handed one to him. And I also have another one in Philadelphia, and I've given some to a couple of historian friends of mine. And this is the class I'm teaching because I believe this is the only extremely accurate representation that there is. So anyway, when we're finished with this class, I'm going to tell the students to look at your desk and ponder the Founding Fathers' risks in declaring independence from the mother country. They were committing treason at the beginning of a long war with the most powerful country in the world. John Hancock, the president of the Continental Congress and the first signer of the Declaration, urged that the vote be unanimous. And he says, there must be no pulling in different ways. We must all hang together. Benjamin Franklin said, well, yes, indeed, we must all hang together, or most assuredly, we will all hang separately. Consider this. Treason is the only crime that you can commit that if you're successful, you'll be hailed as a hero instead of being hung as a traitor. Thank you for watching, and by the way, Thomas Jefferson died on July 4th of 1826, the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. John Adams, 500 miles away, also died on that day. Thank you for watching.